YouTube, it's Monday the 7th of July 2008. Now I was planning this week to take you on a little tour of the village where I'm now living back on Dartmoor. Unfortunately, as you can tell from the July weather, it's not very nice outside, so I'm not going to do that another day, because otherwise I'll get wet. Instead of that, next week is the IARU contest, the International Amateur Radio Union contest. Now, of course, the main purpose of the contest in many ways is to pit different national societies against each other. So here in the UK, the RSGB will be on air as QB7HQ from stations across the UK for people to try and make contact with, and for the RSGB to be competing in particular with the Germans, with the ARC. There's a long-running rivalry there, but also with the other national societies from across the world. I'm going to be operating from here, from my home QTH, so I thought I'd take this opportunity just to show you a few of the features that you might find even in a modest contest shack such as this one, that a number of other radio amateurs probably wouldn't have in their shacks. So just to show you what we have here on the desk in front of me, there's the headset. Headset's really vital for contesting. You need both hands free to be able to log on the keyboard at the same time. Always use an outboard keyboard. Don't try and log with a laptop keyboard because they're not big enough and not resilient enough to be hammered for 48 hours generally. Paddles. The contest software, and I'll talk about that a bit more in a moment. Got the rig, obviously. Now behind the rig, on the right hand side there is a homebrew sound card interface box, and apart from the EMC filter, the icon box there's a rig control box as well, cat lead as they know. And then we've got the laptop here on top of the ATU. Now the contest software really is at the heart of the contest station. In many ways it's one of the most important bits of the contest station. So just to show you a few of the features it's got. Obviously it's rig controlled, so that as one changes frequency on the rig, so the frequency recorded in the software also changes. There's a special part of the window to record the rate, the number of QSOs that you're making. You can see what you've worked, which multipliers you've worked. Obviously in contests the scores are multiplied by multipliers. In this particular contest it will be the ITU zone and the headquarter stations worked. So we need to see which ones of those that we've worked at a glance. And then we come to the SCP, or Super Check Partial as its name. The point of this is that often you might miss one or maybe even two letters in a call sign. Rather than having to ask the person what their call sign was, which always takes time, we can instead see call signs of common contesters from the SCP database whilst we're typing in. So to take an example, let's imagine that I hear on air something like what sounds in my head like G1AB. That's what I type in the contest field, in the call sign field. And whilst I've been doing that, the check partial result window is showing me that there is a known contester G1ABW, so perhaps it's him. At the same time, the N+1 window, which tells me call signs which vary slightly or by up to one letter from what I've typed in, is informing me that it could also be G3AB that I'm listening to if I've got the number on. So often with a bit of practice, using Super Check Partial means that you don't have to hear the whole call sign of the person you're working. Instead that you can get a good idea as to who it probably is, and then they can quickly confirm that, which often saves one or two overs during the contact. And of course we also can see the score that we've achieved in the summary at the bottom. This particular contest software is WinTest, which has gained a lot of popularity in the last couple of years since it was launched, but there are a number of other packages out there, and different operators will prefer their own ones. As I say, the rig is running completely under computer control, so we can do pretty much anything without having to go into the menus on the rig, which is very important, especially if you're using a fairly compact rig such as this 706. So for example, I can even change bands on the rig just by using the keyboard. The keyboard also has a number of pre-recorded messages built into it. These are obviously WAV files in the software, which we can play out at the push of a button. This means that common things like your own call sign, you can save your voice and you don't have to say.
Mike 0 Bravo Lima Foxtrot.
And say all the common phrases we have on the keyboard.
Again.
On the floor you can see a foot pedal. This is really invaluable for operating the PTT line, for putting the transmitter into transmit mode. Particularly when you've got both hands occupied on the keyboard, you don't really want to be pressing a microphone. Some contesters will also use the Vox feature on their rig for this, but obviously there's potential that background noise could trigger the Vox at the wrong moment. Well, one thing I perhaps ought to highlight is the fact that this computer isn't actually networked, for the simple reason that the laptop is an old one of mine. In fact, the reason I've got the extra screen is because the LCD display on the laptop is dead. So it isn't networked, which means I don't get the luxuries of having cluster integration and things in the software, but that's all the major contest software will also support that. So you can see where people are on the basis of spots, and then you can just double click on their call sign in what's known as the band map, and the rig will jump straight to that station. So anyway, that's a few of the features in a very modest consultation. So that's it. I hope to work some for you in the IARU contest next weekend, and I'll see you with some highlights of that contest, I hope, next week. And with a bit of luck I should also be able to stream, if not video, also audio over the contest. So if you want to see how I'm doing, just check out m0blf.org.uk, and you may even be able to see me. So I'm free. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.